guys, welcome back to the Roundhouse, IGN's only show dedicated to the action films of the 80s and 90s. It's the only show on IGN that will shake your hand just to admire your bicep. Tristan Ogilvie here, joined as always by Luke Riley.
Hey!
And as alluded to by that awkward intro, we're talking about Predator.
Yes.
In fact,
yeah.
This is the 4th episode of the Roundhouse. This is the first time we've actually gone into the 80s. We always talk about that we
the Roundhouse, you're a special 90s show.
Yeah.
Now it's about the 80s as well.
Yeah. And what a great place to start. Luke, Predator, bring us up to speed.
Predator, directed by John McTiernan, who obviously would go on to direct Die Hard, Die Hard 3, several other films. Starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, and Carl Weathers, who rose to fame with Rocky and several other films. Bill Duke, Jesse Ventura, with a special little appearance by screenwriter Shane Black, screenwriter of Last Boy Scout, Lethal Weapon 1 and 2,
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, that was his directorial debut.
Yep.
And who has been tapped, and we probably could have saved this for later, but who has been tapped to direct another Predator film.
I did not know that.
You did not know that?
No.
A lot of people were getting their panties in a twist because it was like, oh, they're rebooting Predator, but he came out after that and said, it's not a reboot, this is another Predator movie, and they've given it to him.
Nice.
So that is over with Fox at the moment. I mean, this news is old, so, you know.
We're not breaking
probably
the story right now?
6 years away. You know,
Right.
These things will, it's like, you know, it's like Top Gun 2.
Right.
You know, it'll be, in 15 years' time, there'll be another Predator movie.
Yep. And it was out in 1987.
Yeah, released in the US June 12, 1987. Special effects by Stan Winston.
Excellent special effects, yeah.
Who we've spoken about the Terminator films, which he did. The Thing, Jurassic Park. Stan Winston is a pretty pivotal part of your childhood if you grew up in the 80s and 90s.
A genius.
But yeah.
Sorry, a genius.
And like Tristan said, first Roundhouse movie from the 80s, and also the first Roundhouse film so far, we've done 3, not featuring a main character named John.
That is interesting.
John McClane, Johnny Utah, and John Connor, obviously.
Well, John was the default 80s
Well, John is your,
name,
that is kind of, John or Jack is your kind of, that is your hero's name. Jack and the Beanstalk, that's the kind of thing. Instead we get, John Stamos. Instead we get a character called Alan.
No wonder they call him Dutch.
Yeah, no wonder, you got a nickname.
No offense to any Allens out there.
Alan!
I don't want to tell you how to do your job, Luke.
But do it anyway.
Well, I can't help but notice that you've overlooked one piece of crucial trivia, as far as I'm concerned anyway.
Okay.
And that is that Kevin Peter Hall, who played the Predator, also played Harry from Harry and the Hendersons. Which blew my mind. I only just found that out, like looking up on IMDb.
I didn't know that until right then.
Yeah. So it either makes the Predator suddenly more cuddly, or Harry, the Bigfoot, a lot more terrifying.
A little on the far end.
So, but there you go. Very, it's the late Kevin Peter Hall, unfortunately.
Right.
But very versatile actor.
Stepping into the role, of course, after Van Damme.
Yes, that's right.
Vacated it.
Yeah, because no one could see his face. Anyway, we should kick on into the short burst. Okay, so this is the segment where Luke boils down the plot and premise of the film into a nice snack-sized, digestible lump. Was that it?
No, that wasn't it. Okay, short burst. The universe's cruelest hunter versus Earth's coolest Mr. Universe.
That's clever.
Yeah?
That's good.
I worked on that for quite a while.
That's
and then,
pretty good.
And then I kind of got to a point, you know when you work on something for a while, then you kind of read it and you go, that's terrible.
Yeah. So it was very close to being a haiku as well. But the another way of looking at it, though, which kind of occurred to me while I was watching it, is that it's kind of...
telling me how to do my job again?
Yes, I am. I'm taking over. This is becoming Tristan's Roundhouse. It's kind of like the original Expendables movie in a way.
Well,
it's like a platoon of they basically hired every bicep in Hollywood, apart from Stallone, I guess. Van Damme was hired, but then left. But yeah, I mean, even though it's funny because in the film itself, Arnie actually says,
"My men are not expendable."
They are the Expendables.
They're the proto-Expendables.
They are, yeah.
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 I like that.
Well, let's kick into our top 3 moments. Okay, so top 3 moments from Predator. Now, it's hard to single out too many moments that aren't sort of focused around someone getting violently murdered, because those are kind of a lot of the most memorable moments from this film. But I have to start at the top of this movie with one of the most iconic moments in any action film, so iconic that we, of course, feature it in the intro to our show.
Yeah. The very first thing you see when you start the show, yeah.
Yeah, I am, of course, talking about the handshake between Dutch and Dylan.
You son of a bitch!
Where they shake hands. Well, like the handshake quickly turns into an arm wrestle with the camera kind of lingering on the throbbing forearms and biceps. For a good 15 minutes or so. But what I like about it is, I mean, it's just enjoyable, full stop. But what I like about it is that I like to think that the script just said, Dutch shakes hands with Dylan. But then that's just how Schwarzenegger shakes hands. He turns every handshake into an arm wrestle.
What's the matter? The CIA got you pushing too many pencils?
Like, that is one of the most
That's my favourite moment in the film.
Yeah.
Like, full stop.
It happens within the first 10 minutes. Not that it's all downhill from there. I mean, it's consistently awesome. But yeah, it's a great start.
The one thing, it's just before that scene too, that every time I see it, I think to myself, I wish I knew the truth behind it. Is when Dylan calls out from the corner.
Because some damn fool accused you of being the best.
And then stands up.
Yep.
And that fan looks so low. And then the scene cuts away instantly and then cuts back to him and he's walking. I reckon he's stood up into that fan. Dead set.
Really?
And if I ever meet Carl Weathers, I'm going to ask him, did you stand up and crack your head on that fan? But I imagine, like, yeah, with all the sound effects in, you'd hear him in the background. Like,
Dylan!
Next in my top 3 moments is the moment where Blaine, Jesse Ventura, gets laser gunned or plasma blasted to death. That's not the moment. This is the start of the moment, but it's when Mac, sort of starts firing into the jungle.
Yeah.
And he sort of empties an M16 clip or whatever, and then so he picks up Blaine's minigun, starts firing that into the jungle. Then everyone joins in. They're all firing into the jungle.
Yeah.
Then they start shooting sort of grenade rounds, and I think some of them start throwing rocks or something. And they hate this jungle, and they eventually clear a patch that you could virtually land an aircraft in. It's so barren because they murder this jungle. And I was watching it, and there's this kind of, and I'm making most of this up, but there's a kind of a Fern Gully style environmentalist subtext to this film that I only discovered just watching it just yesterday.
And I've only
because
discovered
they basically murder the jungle. But then later on, there's like a reconciliation because Arnie actually hugs a tree, and then now that they're friendly again, guess who incapacitates the Predator? A tree. It's a love story between man and nature, in a way.
In a way.
Or a really kick-ass action film. My third favourite sort of moment is towards the end when Arnie sort of slips down that sort of mudslide off the small cliff into the water, and then sort of making his way out of the water, and he sort of gets covered in mud as he comes up the bank of the river, and the Predator follows him into the water as well. And so Arnie, he's lost his guns. He kind of just decides to sort of tangle himself in the roots of a tree to sort of disguise himself, which is a happy coincidence because his limbs are basically like the roots of a tree.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good disguise. But yeah, the Predator, his active camouflage kind of shorts out, and he can't see Arnie because he's covered in mud, and his thermal vision's not working. And I just think that's a really tense scene because the Predator comes right up, and it's also the moment where I guess Arnie sort of figures out that firepower is not going to cut it. He's going to have to be cunning if he wants to take out the Predator. So that is my third favourite moment. Over to you, apart from the handshake.
Apart from the handshake, yeah, I think my favourite moments they appear in basically the first act of the film.
Right.
Kind of like the whole film is amazing, but I really like the helicopter ride in.
Go to town and make
Long Tall Sally.
Yeah.
This is something about it. Because you go through this movie and you come out of the other end virtually knowing nothing about the characters themselves. But I thought that scene was actually really well executed in that it made you care about the characters because you could see how relaxed and comfortable they were with each other, which I quite liked.
Yeah.
And I know there's something about cool scenes set to cool music as well that just gets me in any sorts of films, so I'm a sucker for that. And my other favourite moment comes at the end of the big assault on the guerrilla base.
Yep.
When Blaine is there and Poncho is there with Poncho and they're trying to root out that guy who's
It's dug in like an Alabama tick.
Yep.
and he's like, oh, you're bleeding yourself.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Which is a seminal line from Predator. It's classic.
Yeah.
But even Predator subverts that. When Poncho goes,
you got time to duck,
and then blows up the gorilla. So there's something about that little passage of the film I really enjoy.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, best one-liners. This is a Schwarzenegger film, so there are quite a number of great lines in there. For me, I haven't gone for the sort of obvious sort of puns or anything like that, or the ain't got time to bleed. That's a classic line too, for sure. But my favourite line, and the one that I sort of laughed at rewatching it for this episode of the Roundhouse, was when it was basically just right at the end where the Predator is like removing his mask, and he's got the sort of compressed air valves and sort of firing air out, and he kind of pulls the thing off, and he's got that. Well, the vagina with teeth, as most people interpret it as, certainly I do. But yeah, the sort of kind of fish face thing with the mandibles.
Mandibles, yeah.
It's disgusting. And Arnie is just like,
"You one ugly motherfucker."
But that's it. It's like it's not clever.
Yeah.
But it's the way he says it, and the Predator's like ridiculous looking face. It's funny.
It's basically it's his first contact, by the way, with Earth, and he's just like completely insulted him.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
My favourite line is I've completely gone the other direction because I love a good pun.
Yeah.
It's the sequence where they're raiding the guerrilla base, and for some reason, a guy who clearly has the drop on Dutch, he's armed with a weapon, and yet sneaks up to within knife throwing range to try and shoot him.
Yep.
And Dutch turns around, after blasting some other guy, just turns around, lobs the knife at him, and then goes through him, pins him to like a beam, and then...
Stick around.
That's classic. That is
This
classic.
is classic.
That is classic.
Yeah.
That's a classic sort of filmmaking technique as well, the knife throw, where the knife is already stuck
Yeah.
in him, but it still looks cool.
Yeah.
That is a great line.
And then, it's a real tight shot on Schwarzenegger too, where he knows what he's saying is hilarious.
Yeah. Best death, I mean, there's plenty of it in this film.
There is.
Both on the good side and bad. I mean, the good guys obviously get picked off one by one, and it kind of escalates in quality as you go through. My favourite is actually Dylan's death. Carl Weathers' death.
That's mine too.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
And where he goes out with he's got two like MP5s or something, firing wildly, and he gets his arm blasted off, and his arm falls to the ground, still firing and he's kind of howling, and he gets violently ended. But what I like about it is that sort of immediately before that, when you see Dutch and Anna, the female hostage, I think she goes to pick up a gun or something like that, and Arnie's like,
Leave it! He didn't kill you because you weren't armed.
And then Carl Weathers is immediately disarmed. Like physically
Literally.
disarmed. Yeah. But yeah,
still attacked.
It's pretty graphic.
Yeah, that one, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, the bad guy body counts. Now, I hadn't seen this film for a while, and so I went into it thinking it was going to be another sort of Terminator scenario where there's only one bad guy. But of course, as we've referenced, there's the assault on or the rescue mission into the camp.
The rescue mission into the camp, which pads the body count significantly.
Yeah. So with that in mind, let's take a look. 67,
Yeah.
which is a new record, a new Roundhouse record.
It's probably, I mean, I'm pretty bad at maths, but it's probably more than all the other films we've done combined so
Easily.
far. Easily.
Easily. 66 of those, I guess.
Gorillas, yeah.
Gorillas, yeah.
I didn't count Dylan. I
Yeah.
thought, like, Dylan is kind of the jerk.
He's a jerk, but he's not
And he's
evil.
misled them.
Yeah.
But he's still on their side.
Yeah,
So,
true. Yeah, no, I think that's, I think 67 we'll
Yeah.
stick with. What I like about that rescue mission is the fact that only 20 minutes before it, when they're talking about it, Arnie's like,
We're a rescue team, not assassins.
and then they rescue these guys by assassinating absolutely
Everybody,
everyone.
yeah.
Like everyone, 66 people evidently.
Yeah.
And that whole sequence, which is awesome, but it's like, the scriptwriters had fun with that sequence because there's some great one-liners in
Yeah.
it.
Knock, knock.
And B, the stuntmen had a great day that day because it's like, okay, stunt guys, we want you all to like jump out of second-story buildings that are exploding,
Yeah.
do some flips. If you could be on fire, that'd be great. Because like everyone in that sequence, and we've just seen it, is like when they get shot and they're just kind of like falling and
yeah, they're
flipping
falling
everywhere.
and tumbling.
And there's
burning.
one bit, there's one bit where Jesse Ventura's Blaine miniguns this guy to death, who catches fire. It's like I don't know if he's using incendiary rounds or if this movie is just awesome.
Yeah, I remember that part.
Or both. Just at the end of the rescue mission sequence, I love how Arnie says to Mac,
Clear the area, no traces.
like, what, are you going to pick up 11,000 bullet shells? Yeah, hard luck, Mac. So, reload or retire, the segment where we decide whether this film should live on or die, live free or die hard. Let's not bring that up. Actually, I know you like that film, don't you?
I like the.
That's for another
I
reason.
like the DVD cut.
Right. Predator, what do you think, Luke?
I think Reload. I mean, one of the things that interested me a lot when I was preparing for this video was that apparently upon release, it wasn't really received that well.
Right.
Pretty, middling reception. I think it did okay. Like it certainly made its budget back, which was pretty modest budget at the time.
Well, it was just spent all on ammunition, I think.
Yeah. But it's since gone on to become one of the real sort of memorable and seminal action horror sci-fi movies. It's a total classic. Of the 80s.
With a classic villain as well.
Yeah.
One of the classic sci-fi villains for sure.
And full of quotes that people remember, and it's it's early Schwarzenegger stuff. Who was already on the rise, but then became a bona fide superstar during the 90s. So yeah, it always interests me when I hear about films that people sort of gush over today, like we're doing right now. But at the time, they kind of come out and everyone was like, this is just some kind of derivative, lame action movie, So I wonder about sort of films we see today that people forget instantly, and maybe in 20, 30 years, what films they'll be.
Yeah. Good point.
Did anybody see this happening? Predator being, 30 years later, people discussing Predator in these kinds of ways. And the Predator being such an iconic character who just appeared, kind of one of the reasons we're doing this is because the Predator and Dylan himself, as a skin, appeared in the new Mortal Kombat game.
Yep.
So your Predator himself is like this massive cross-media icon, and yet he just kind of popped up in this original little sci-fi movie featuring Schwarzenegger back in 1987.
Yeah, and it's also this film itself. It starts out like a fairly conventional action film, then it kind of turns into horror and sci-fi, obviously, and then by the end of it, it's kind of like a Home Alone movie in a way, with him setting up all the traps and what have you. But I also want to highlight, we've talked about Stan Winston a fair bit. This film doesn't really have much in the way of CGI or anything like that, but the way that they do the Predator's active camouflage, with good old-fashioned sort of chroma key compositing, and it still looks really cool. I was never really aware. I don't know if this film sort of created that effect, but I certainly wasn't aware of it up until seeing it. And now it's, you know, in every video game and whatever.
Yeah.
And probably in the US military as well, I don't know. But yeah, it's the effects are cool. And I also like some of the other little trivia about the effects, like how the alien's blood is like a glow stick mixed with lube.
Yeah.
Because, you know, apparently he just came from spring break or something. But yeah, there's heaps of cool little sort of factoids about it. The only thing I should say that I do not like about this film, and I love it, is the weird. So you've just spent like 100 minutes watching all these dudes get massacred, and then right before the final credits roll, there's this weird sitcom style kind of like each of the member of the cast kind of giving a thumbs up to the camera and stuff with their name on screen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And with the like ominous Predator music playing, but it's just like all these guys are dead.
Yeah.
It's so strange to me. Although, you know, if you ran sitcom music underneath it, it'd probably be a lot more optimistic ending to the film. In fact, we'll do that right now.
Standing tall on the wings of my dream, rise and fall.
That is the end of another episode of The Roundhouse. The Predator still gets a massive thumbs up from both Luke and I. Luke, thank you very much for joining me as always.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do let us know in the comments what film you want us to feature next. Maybe another 80s classic, maybe something with some feet hitting faces in the Van Damme kind of style, or not. Let us know. Until then, Luke, let's shake on this.
Let's shake.